Good morning, Austin. Welcome to the Fans View, KAZI 88.7. Travis Kent. Alongside, to my left, Jamal January. Jamal, good to have you back in studio.
Thank you.
Across from me, twisting and tweaking the dials once again this morning, and we appreciate him doing that, Douglas Washington. Douglas, how you doing this morning, man?
Doing great. Happy to be here, and I guess I should be able to hear myself.
Yeah.
Let's go
ahead and bring you up.
Yeah, give me a chance there. Yeah, happy. There's so much going on. I can't wait. You guys, Travis, you did say you will do a bracket. There's only like maybe one or two you do.
Yeah.
We're getting to that time, so I know our listeners are excited for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To my right, usually is Corey Mose. Corey had a little bit of work to do this morning. He is over hanging out with, I believe, the San Antonio Spurs over at the Moody Center. So he's got to get some shots in for the people that pay him money to do a job, and then he's going to stop back in a little bit later this morning, assuming all things go well with that. So we should get to hear from Corey later on this morning, and we will be happy to welcome him in as well. So. It is. I mean, look. It's tournament time. We're within about the last 40 days of both the NHL and NBA seasons, and we are wrapping up the college basketball regular season conference tournaments this weekend. Selection Sunday, be obviously Sunday evening. Mm-hmm. Tuesday and Wednesday will be the do we call them the playing games? We call them the opening round. Well, I can't remember what we call them now.
The first four in.
Yeah,
I think that's what they call it. The first four in.
And so, that will be taking place. I'm assuming it's still in Dayton. They've been playing it in Dayton since they started it. So, so we will have those, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. What to me is the best weekend in college sports. As you get basketball game after basketball game, and you can watch as many as you want or as few as you want or whatever you want to do, but it is sure to bring about a lot of excitement as March Madness will begin in earnest. So
it's most wonderful time of the year. That's productivity goes through the roof.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a boss. You're a boss, Travis.
Yeah.
Even you, do you give a little bit of leniency for productivity during this time?
Yeah. Look, you can't you can't ignore it, or you can't hope. And I do happen to work in an industry, and my employees that work for me our job has a lot of flexibility built into it anyway, because part of our job is that we're also supposed to be out marketing, and so you've got a lot of flexibility within your budget to do that. You can go to lunches, you can play golf, you can do a lot of things. So we're lucky in that respect, and so we kind of lean into March Madness. In fact, next Friday, I'm probably talk to you after the show to kind of see what we're going to do, but I actually usually host I call it an afternoon of madness, where I invite all my clients who are local and tell them we're going to be camped out from about noon to about 4 o'clock at XYZ place.
Yeah.
Feel free to swing by, come grab lunch. We'll buy you lunch. Mm-hmm. If you want to have a beer, like an early happy hour or something like that, come on by.
Sure.
And so we generally have most of our client base will swing by on a Friday afternoon. And what do we get to do? We get to watch basketball. But we also get to connect with our clients.
Yeah.
So I'm lucky. That's something I can do. We don't have to be tied to a desk. We're not phone based. We're not so we're lucky in that respect. And I think every day I thank the Lord that I'm in an industry where I can do stuff like that.
Yeah. But, I think I think those are some of the best parts, is that we have the attention span for it. I'm telling you, if I told you St. Joseph's was playing VCU, would you be interested in that game?
No.
But March Madness, you'll at least consider it. You'll stop
For
and
sure.
you'll take a gander and you'll say, okay, so St. Joseph's 21-12. Okay, not a bad year. They were 99 and the A10. VCU, exact same record, 21-12. And then you go on to another ones. And then, of course, you can't wait to get to the ones you like. So I got to know from you guys, just because we're talking about it right quick, guys, is there a team, if there's a team that's playing, you're not going to go past it? Jamal, because I'd love, like, your group, since you're younger than Travis and I, is there a team that if they're playing this week, you're not going to go past it, no matter who it is?
Probably Tennessee.
Really?
Yeah. What's his name is actually amazing me. I forgot his name. Dalton.
Dalton Necht.
Yes, him. He's been balling. The dude.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost to Kentucky, but I think he had 36. I think.
Yeah.
Against Kentucky.
Yeah, that's talent.
So I'm excited.
That's
to see
the
how
team to
many-
put it on.
big
Okay,
wins.
Travis. So that's his generation. Is there something a holdover from our generation, Travis, or just regionally? Or I'm very curious on what teams you couldn't pass up.
So I'm as you probably would expect, I do like the regional aspect of tournament time, and so and I realize Texas is leaving the Big 12 and we'll be going to the SEC next year.
Yep.
But I will search out all the Big 12 teams and see when they're playing, and I'll lay some eyes on them.
Okay.
Outside of that, the Blue Bloods.
All right.
Kentucky, Kansas, North Carolina, and Duke. For me, those are the Blue Bloods. I used to, and we've talked about this on this show a number of times, where I grew up being a fan of the Big East. Because I grew up when Big Monday on ESPN meant Georgetown, St. John's, Villanova, Providence, Syracuse. It was musty, and it was John Thompson and Georgetown, and it was Chris Mullen was at St. John's back then. It was
best flat top in sports.
Yes, it was fantastic. College basketball, Patrick Ewing, and just everything that went into that. And those teams were national title contenders. And at the time, Texas was not a very good basketball team.
Yeah.
And so I was a Texas fan, but they weren't on TV very much. One, ESPN wasn't carrying a lot of Southwest Conference games back then.
Yep.
Arkansas became a better team as I approached high school and college age, but it just wasn't the same back then. And so, it has been interesting that since when I guess it was when Syracuse left the
Big East,
St. John's after Lou Carnesecca, after Lou Carnesecca left St. John's, they kind of hit a rough spot.
Yeah.
John Thompson handed over Georgetown to John Thompson II. And, of course, he had been coaching out of that Princeton system. So we tried to bring that Princeton system into Georgetown. Didn't quite really work out.
No.
And so it lost some of its luster. Now, Jim Boeheim, even when they left the Big East, Boeheim kind of kept things going at Syracuse, and they were still, to me, must-see TV. But I miss that I don't seek out those teams anymore to watch. When Jay Wright was still at Villanova, Villanova was must-see TV. We talked about UConn and how after Kevin Ollie left and now Danny Hurley's brother is there now. That he's gotten in. I mean, of course, they've won a national championship last year, and so they're obviously a top team. And so I'll watch UConn, but it doesn't have the same shine as those teams had back in the mid '80s, late '80s for me.
Well, what I was getting at is because I was wondering about generationally what would draw his attention, but the young guy doesn't he's not as interesting anymore, Travis, because the more you talked, the more I wanted to come back to you. Sorry, Jamal, but not sorry. So now I'm curious. When it came to, like, for your generation, Indiana, Bobby Knight, but then he left.
Yeah.
So did you follow the coach, or because I know we all were into, not you, Jamal, but we were all into Indiana when he was there, but then he left, and I left with him. So I was kind of curious, what happened with you when he left?
Well, of course, he came to Texas Tech.
Yep.
And at the time, Texas was much more a part of the national pictures. I would have to go back, but that had to have been the end of the Tom Penders era into the Rick Barnes era portion. And, of course, Tom Penders sort of pulled Texas out of the doldrums and made them at least contending and relevant. They were in the tournament most years where they had been not in the tournament most years prior to that. And then Rick Barnes even kind of went a step further. Of course, we had that Final Four when we lost to Syracuse and Carmelo Anthony.
Oh my God!
After beating Michigan State, to get into that Final Four. So, but yeah, I followed him. Yeah, I mean, I guess I did. Texas Tech became much more sought out television at that point because you didn't know. I mean, Bobby Knight had long been a divisive figure.
Yeah.
And I mean, nothing illustrates that more than the point that he became so divisive in his later years in Indiana that they were willing to part ways with him.
Yeah.
Because there was a point in time when he could be that divisive and scream and yell as much as he did, and they were just going to turn their head and go, "Yeah, but we're winning basketball games."
Yeah. It's King Bobby.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
well, because if you noticed, when you started naming those formative years of you watching, you were naming coaches. You named some players. You named some players.
Yes.
You went straight to players. So, Jamal, can I ask you, is your generation now more chasing the players versus legacy or coaches? Because that's what I feel like.
Yeah, I would. Excuse me. I would absolutely say that and agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, we have nothing. I'm not speaking on behalf of my generation,
right?
But I would say I have nothing against coaches or legacies or anything. But at this point in time, I'm looking at like who is the next big thing
right.
and stuff like that.
Right.
You know? Like I love Popovich, but at the same time, Wemby's on the court.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. I think we just stumbled into a generational thing now of what the sport has turned into, NBA and NCAA men's. I think it is really about the player now.
I would 100% agree. Just from my old eyes, watching what gets bought and gets worn when you go out into public and seeing, I think. Steph Curry fans are lucky.
Yeah.
Because they were able to become Golden State Warrior fans, and he's still there, and they're still Golden State Warrior fans.
Yeah.
Now, when he's not there anymore, it'll be interesting to see who they latch on to next. But like LeBron fans have got to buy New Jersey every 5 or 6 years, which is perfectly fine with them. They don't really mind. And so it's different because on the flip side, I'm a Dallas Mavericks fan.
Yeah.
And so I'm just rooting for the next body that fills a Dallas Mavericks uniform.
Yeah.
And that's who I am. Now, does that mean that I don't watch? Does that mean that I didn't watch the Lakers and Magic and Bird and the Celtics and Dwayne Wade and Miami? Did I not watch? No, I definitely watched those teams. It was good TV. It was great basketball to watch. But at the end, when you ask me who I cheer for the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether Luka's there or Dirk is there. It helps.
Yeah.
But that is, I believe that is a seminal generational difference nowadays, for sure.
I agree. By the way, Dwayne Wade apparently was in town. I blame you, Jamal. I don't know why you couldn't get him to come on the station here with us.
He's my favorite player of all time.
No, that's the number 3. That guy. Did you ever buy any of his shoes?
I did not. I was close when he was with Jordan. When he was with Jordan Brand, I was close.
Okay.
But now he's with the whole Way of Wade thing.
Why Wade? I feel like that wouldn't even be a lot of people's top 10. I feel like you're a
Well,
different kind of dude.
One, I'm a Miami Heat fan,
Oh.
so that's a start. And it's really a funny story. I got NBA Live 06 when I was younger, and D Wade was on the cover, and it was like the first basketball video game that I've ever owned. And I was like, you know what? I kind of like the way he's posing on the cover too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see where this guy's at. And the Heat were kind of dominant. You know, they had Shaq at the time, and I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? I like his game, and he's fast too. So they
Yeah.
call him Flash. So I was like, yeah.
Jabal brings up another great point, and that is the video game era.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Jamal, I believe your generation, they're obviously, you guys are probably consuming more video games
Yeah.
than I am, right? But I've got a Xbox. I still have now. I don't buy every year when it comes out. I'll play. I think I'm still playing Madden 21. You know,
Okay.
I'm probably about ready to switch to maybe next year. I'll probably get the new Madden. I'm actually ready for college football to come out too. But when I play Madden, I play the Cowboys. I play as the Cowboys. I'm a Cowboys fan, right? Whereas I think, if it was, I'm just guessing, like you said, you get NBA. And then you go to your favorite player and you play your favorite player, obviously the games are so vivid now, and they're so dynamic. You can do so much with them. You can trade your guy around the league. You can take your Dwayne Wade, and if you want to say, wonder what it would be like if he was paired up with so and so at so and then you just trade him to the Knicks, and we'll see how he and Carmelo get along together or whatever. So it's there's a lot of different things to it, but that's another huge difference.
Yes, it is.
We did not have the same video game experience that kids today have.
Double dribble. Remember that?
Oh my gosh, yes.
that was
Yes,
the pinnacle for us. But you wouldn't. And then later on, he's on fire.
He's
Remember
on
that one?
fire.
Yeah. So those were big games to us, and I think that glued us to some TVs to play. But it's different for you guys now, man. Yeah. I am not a gamer. There were some times there in college, but I'm not a gamer. I wish I would have. I love the games so much. I'm just not skilled, and it's too late sometimes.
I'm not very good either. I'm not very good. You find as you get older and you have less time for that. You have kids, and the kids are taking more time for that. And next thing you know, the only time you get to play is after they're in bed, and then you're kind of like, well, I'm kind of tired. I kind of just I kind of just want to climb in bed and
I'm not finishing this season.
Exactly. So, yeah. I mean, there's always things that change like that. But yeah, I'm the same way as you. I never got really good. I mean, the whole E system now, where Mark Cuban owns a team. They have stadiums that they play in. It is all amazing. You can get college scholarships now.
Yes.
To play games.
You guys know I'm an Army veteran. We have a esports team in the Army.
Oh.
It helps with recruiting. And I know a guy who's right here in town, and he's on that team. And so he goes different places. He's a lieutenant, but he goes different places to play. Obviously, he's a young guy, but he goes places to play to represent the Army. So even the Army has a esports team. It's so cool. But I don't. Travis, I think I'm the guy that people invite over. So when they're playing Madden, see if they can get 100 points on the board. Hey, come on over, man. Let's go and grab a controller.
Now, I did in the dorms my freshman year here at Texas. There was I guess they were 4 doors down from me, but they had Tecmo Bowl.
Yes.
And they hosted the Tecmo Bowl tournament every night. And so
I'm still good at that,
Yeah.
at least.
And in fact, they had to make a rule at one point that nobody could play with the Oakland Raiders.
Oh, yeah.
You weren't allowed to pick the Oakland Raiders.
Wait a
because
minute.
Bo Jackson was too dominant.
Neil Anderson with the Bears, he was pretty fast.
He was pretty dominant as
what
well.
about Barry Sanders?
Yeah, but remember with Bo?
Bo was, you're right.
Bo was almost impossible to tackle against some teams.
You're right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. That was a flaw. or let me translate this to Jamal. Jamal, it's the equivalent of a player being a 100 nowadays and unstoppable. I think they went through that one or twice though. They made some mistakes with like Michael Vick, right? He was too crazy, and then I think, and then for you, Travis, I think the Vince Young character in the college one, I think they made him a little too strong. But in my opinion, I remember I didn't live here at that time. He was Superman.
He was.
That was one of that was the to me not one of that was the most impressive thing I had ever seen. And man, I hope I get to meet him.
Yeah.
Because I just let him know that, man, you had us on the East Coast rooting for you, loving you, not just Longhorn Nation.
For sure.
Where were you at when that game was going on, Travis?
What's the
national championship?
I was there.
No.
Oh yeah.
Really?
You gotta be, man.
Yeah. Man, I was sitting next to my dad for that game.
Sheesh.
We went out the year before when Texas played Michigan. We went out to the Rose Bowl. Me and my wife at the time, now my ex-wife, but we went out there with my mom and dad, and then a group of our friends that we all kind of tailgate together and we all go to games together and have season tickets. So we hung out with them, and then the next year for the national championship game, so my dad has season tickets and I have season tickets, right? Yeah. We weren't able to get tickets for the game, but I worked for a company. In fact, I wasn't with them anymore. Yeah. But the company I used to work for had 4 season tickets, and so I called my buddy Josh, who still worked there, and I said, "Hey, did you order the national championship game tickets through?" Because I think their corporate donation was probably $10,000 or $15,000 a year, so they clearly were going to get tickets to it. And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "We got them." And I said, "Well, I mean, if you're not going to use them, or if you don't know anybody, or you're not going to use them for corporate purposes, can I buy them from you?" And he said, "Yes, you most certainly can." So I ended up buying those 4 tickets. My dad and I went, and then Josh, actually, his wife called me after she found out I bought them and said, "Hey, I need to buy one back from you because I'm going to send Josh out to the game with you." And then I actually sold another one to an attorney down in the valley that ended up, he and his buddies that all went to UT Law School together, all rode the train out to California for that game.
Wow, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. So.
And certainly, we know the train ride back was just amazing. You got some angst on the way out. Yeah. Oh man, euphoria on the way back.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we got to go.
Yeah, let's get to a break. We'll come back on the other side. Like I said, college basketball, NBA, NFL news. We got some NFL stuff we can talk about. Baseball getting ready to start up. But we'll be back right here on the Fans View, KAZI 88.7. We are back on the Fans View, KAZI 88.7. Travis Kent alongside Jamal January. Douglas Washington twisting and tweaking the dials. We appreciate, Douglas, you pulling double duty today.
Yes.
Little bit of disappointing news during the break from a text message. Evidently, Corey is not going to be able to shoot any of the San Antonio practice until later this morning. So it's looking like we won't have Corey in, which is disappointing. Corey always adds to the show. It's always nice to get his perspective. Yeah. And especially his side of covering daily sports, where the rest of us have jobs to go to, and sometimes some things will slip through the cracks. But we'll get Corey back soon enough. So. We teased a lot going into the break, but we got a call we need to jump into first. I think everybody knows where we're heading with this. Mr. Oklahoma, you there? We got you, Mr. Oklahoma?
Yes, sir.
There we go.
On the air now.
All right. How you doing this morning?
Yeah, how y'all doing? How you doing, Mr. First of the Month?
Oh my gosh! Never walking out of that one.
Nope.
How you doing, Mr. NBA?
Hey, ready to get it going, and the shot clock is already started. Let's get these shots up.
Yeah, Mr. Travis, you got a famous name. You know that, don't you?
Yeah. For sure, for sure.
Man, I want to bring up last week,
Okay.
Douglas, about, remember I was telling you about Oklahoma coming down here to Texas to play?
Yes, sir.
And man, I was just really shocked that Oklahoma got blown out like that down here. And I was telling you that. That coach for Oklahoma needs to be fired. He does. He needs to be fired, man, because golly, we done lost about 3 or 4 in a row. You know, and I was looking at the bottom of my screen the other day. I think the Oklahoma State coach had already fired their coach.
They did. They fired Boynton yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Oklahoma coach needs to be fired too.
You know, they're.
Because this guy is pitiful, man.
So I called an audible on Saturday, and I went to the game.
Oh,
Yeah.
We had other plans that morning, and it looked like it was going to be a little cooler during the day because we had that front blow through and the wind was blowing. And so we were supposed to go hang out with some friends and eat some crawfish. And, we were like, well, maybe it's going to be a little cooler than we want it to be. I said, well, let's go to the Texas basketball game. And so bought a couple tickets, went down there, had a good time. You're exactly right, Mr. Oklahoma. That Oklahoma team has a lot of deficiencies. Texas does too.
Yeah.
Texas, by the way, got bounced in the tournament already. There's a reason I haven't talked about Texas in the Big 12 tournament because they got bounced in round one.
I wasn't
going
going to bring it up, Travis.
But
I wasn't going to bring that one up.
yeah, Oklahoma's got some definite deficiencies in their program right now for sure.
Yeah, you know, I know they have some players that's hurt and the
Yeah.
transfer portal, you know, but man, I don't like that coach. I think his last name is Moser or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I do not like him, man. They need to get rid of him. Because I'm going to tell you, after Calvin Sampson left, and I'm going to tell you, Calvin Sampson is doing good at Houston.
He
Yeah.
is.
But I don't see Houston winning the national championship. I just don't see it. Because Houston is good, but they do, because I watched them yesterday. They have a lot of flaws on their team. You know, they don't really have a pure shooter, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They doing good on the rebound, but for somebody coming off the bench, you know, give them a spark like a pure shooter, I don't see it.
They got a little.
But I tell you, UConn looks good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
UConn
dude.
does look good.
Those pure shooters, they're really hard to find. And
Yeah, they really
what
are.
we were
Yeah.
talking about, Houston's not a blue blood, so I don't know what would have been the attraction outside of the state of Texas. I can't say a lot of people had Houston dominating as number one this year, to be honest. So
Yeah, yeah.
in the future for recruiting, they may be able to get that. But I think there's something to be said about that short rotation and the get afterness that they have. Not a real word. I'm not so quick to count them out as you. This isn't my prediction, but if they made it to the Elite Eight, I wouldn't be against that if they made it. I think I could understand that.
Well, you know, I'm not really, you know, I'm a Houston Cougar fan, you know, because I'm from Houston, but
Right.
I'm not really counting them out, man, but I'm just hoping
Yeah.
they could win the national championship, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, okay, so that's what I was getting at. Your expectations are really high.
Look at DePaul, look at UConn, look at Tennessee, and I think Houston's gonna stumble.
Houston, we talked about this a lot of the year. Houston does not go very deep on their bench. They had a couple guys banged up last
Yeah.
week, but they've been able to survive. They've actually, you know, maybe this will help create a little more. Maybe Sampson will find a couple of bodies that he feels a little more comfortable putting on the floor in big situations. But they are going to, much like Tennessee this year. So Rick Barnes' team, we usually think of them as great defensive teams. They're an offensive team this year. But on the flip side of that, U of H is going to go as far as their defensive pressure takes them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they turn people over at an alarming rate, and they get out on the fast break, and they're able to convert, and that's what is going to what now when you run back, the losses for U of H and the close calls. I'm just going to go to the Texas game when Texas took them to overtime earlier in the year. I think, if I remember correctly in that game, Texas got off to a really good shooting start, and Oklahoma, I think, had 8 turnovers on their own in the first half. That's they generally will turn teams over to 14 or 16 times a game, and they're going to turn it over 3 to 5 times a game. They just don't turn the ball over. They are a ball handling team. So if they get into a situation where they get a little fumble fingered, that can hurt them as well.
Yeah, because Shed, he's good. But he's not going to be able to do it by himself, man, when they start playing these tougher teams. He's real good.
Yep.
The guy from Manor, he's real good.
Yep, that's right.
But
yeah, and I want to talk about I talked about the Cowboys last week, and that guy was crying on the phone, man. He don't realize that I'm a diehard Cowboy fan. He don't need to cry on the phone. I just hope Dallas do better. Who is going to be Dallas running back, guys? They let those 2 running backs get away to Philadelphia and the Titans.
Yep.
Well, not the Titans, but the Ravens. So, who is going to be Dallas running back?
Zach Moss.
Who?
Zach Moss. And I said that because I wanted to see Travis's reaction. His eyebrows went up, but I don't think it's a big enough name because it's gone. And this is what I keep saying. I'm not trying to make Travis mad here, but Jerry Jones, you're messing up, bro. You are supposed to make the big splashes. You go get King Henry. He fits.
Yeah.
If for no other reason, just do it for the marketability. He seems like he's got a great personality, a nice locker room guy is what it seems like. I've never heard anything. Sounds like he practices good. We all see his workout videos, so it looks like he certainly always comes in prepared. That's him. I know it. I hope it wasn't Allegiance because they're also NFC East. But if he didn't go get Saquon because he used to be a Giant, again, that's a fail. And I'm mad about that because I tell you, I want the drama. Y'all know I'm not a Cowboys fan, and I'm gonna hurry up and shut up because I know Travis wants to get in here. But you got to go get 1 or 2 of those guys. You had to. Not with that receiving core.
Right.
You got your quarterback we're going to ride with. You got the offensive coach. You go make the offensive splash. And those 2 were the ones.
So, and here's the other part of it is, and we kind of knew this might happen, although you just never know what's going to happen in the marketplace. But all of those backs that you mentioned, and plus even Aaron Jones, if you put him on that list as well, leaving Green Bay, they're all making under $13 million a year next year.
Yep.
You franchise tagged and paid Pollard last year $12.5 million, something like that.
Yep.
And then you let him go, but yet you weren't willing to say Travis Henry or Saquon or Aaron Jones or Austin Eckler or whatever name you want to plug in there. Different body, different style back. Look, I don't blame them necessarily. I still don't think that Pollard is a 20 to 25 carry a game back. So if that's if that's your criteria and saying we can't do it with 15 carries, we need somebody who can go 20 to 25. Okay, but there were plenty of those backs out there at the same price you paid for your back last year, and you let them get away.
Thank you, Travis, because I was going to look it up. I didn't know the numbers, but I didn't think the numbers were too big. What the Ravens paid. And okay, so good. I was wondering about the dollars for King Henry and Saquon, and I think it's a missed opportunity. Again, you want people to have to stare into your backfield and make decisions. Didn't you play linebacker, Travis?
Defensive end.
Oh, sorry, defensive end. Sorry. I mean, I want people to hesitate. I want people
Yeah.
to come around that end or come up that hole and have to make a. Here comes King Henry.
Yeah.
Like I think you know what? Maybe this time I'll flop around the outside. I don't want to meet him in the hole. You want them to make those business decisions.
That's
but,
right.
Yeah. You know what, man? I agree with you 100%, man. You know, Jerry Jones, he should have just jumped on that, man.
I think he
He
said.
should have just jumped on that.
Well, remember, we can go back to the tapes. I was saying King Henry should have been brought in last year, and then you would have already had him. But you know, I don't want to just say that because they didn't win the NFL championship this year. But yeah, talking about this year. Okay, that's a good one. You got my juices flowing on that one. What else you got, sir?
Yeah, I want to know now. I'm kind of happy about my Houston Texans. You know, I'm getting more and more happier about the Houston Texans. We got Joe Mixon,
Hey.
and we got another. I think we got another linebacker, something like that. But I'm getting very happy about the Houston Texans.
I like what the Texans did. So they gave Minnesota their 22nd and 23rd pick in the second round, and Houston gets the 42nd pick, the 180th, the second and 2025. Again, you can build. I'll take a 42nd and 188th pick, and then again next year a second rounder. I'm telling you, that organization. That if I was a Texans fan, I would be feeling really good. Or if I was a guy named Mr. Oklahoma who's from Houston, I'd feel really good right now.
Yeah, I do. I do. But you know,
I like
mean, I like it too. But I mean, you know, things happen during the seasons, man. You know, I just hope they get on up there, man. I'd like to see them in the Super Bowl. You know, I mean, I'd like to see Dallas and Texans in the Super Bowl, but that's gonna probably be a while. You know,
Battle of Texas.
A Texas showdown.
As long as that's in a good place. Like, I don't want that to be in no cold weather environment. I feel like the NFL gets it now. And I think they're about to start shifting to warmer climate. I think they're going to start doing that. But whenever that does happen, it better not be in. You need to see some Texas folk out there with their grills and playing cornhole. That would be amazing. I'm rooting for that. I'm rooting for that. That would be amazing.
Yeah, and I want to say that, you know, Akeem Olajuwon, he got two sons that played for Clemens in Houston High School. He got two sons that play. I guess they're gonna be pretty good, you know.
Well, being a Houston guy, you want them to stay local?
Well, I mean, I don't know, man. If they get drafted somewhere else and they play in the NBA, you know, I'd like to check them out. But, you know, they just kids right now. You know, I just want to let y'all know he got two sons.
No.
No.
What I was saying is, do you want them to become Cougars?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know how good they are.
No, hey, see, that's the thing I was talking to you about last week. Remember, last week I was explaining to you, maybe in the future, but the best prospects aren't necessarily going to Houston, but maybe this year allows that. You know, if Houston could put this year together, whether it's Elite 8, Final 4, that they make it, not the natty like you want them to win, but maybe you could start getting some of that talent. Your recruiting classes could start to be some of the best in the nation. Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm
maybe.
rooting for you. I'm rooting for you.
Hey, are y'all ready for this USXL? Are y'all ready for that?
Yeah. I told the wife already, start looking for tickets. We're going to go down to San Antonio. I'm gonna go catch some games.
Well,
my
okay.
kids love football. I'm going. I'm going to go. Travis, would you go? Would you take the trip? Oh, man. It is golf weather.
It is golf weather.
Let me get you out of that.
I got a tea time Sunday,
So you won't be doing spring football then?
probably not. Probably
right.
not. But
Young guy?
I'm gonna be invested.
Oh, as a sports
Yeah.
fan, or do you think is this a generational thing? Because we lived through the Doug Flutie USFL. We know about all that history, and I think that's why we kind of bat an eye to those other leagues. I hate to throw another generational thing there, bro, but what draws you? Why do you want to go?
I mean, it's another reason to watch football.
Oh,
like
hey,
competitive football.
let's do
That's the big reason why I'm
Yeah.
gonna be pretty invested in it.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna do it, Mr. Oklahoma. We're gonna check it. 2 out of 3.
Yeah, well,
We'll go.
I want to say one more thing before I get out the air, man.
Okay.
I'm in basketball heaven, man, because I was up late last night, man, watching Marquette and Villanova. They went in overtime. I went to bed by 11 o'clock. But, man, I'm in basketball heaven, brother.
Yeah.
For sure.
I love it. Because, I played a lot of basketball, too, until I pulled my Achilles. When I pull my Achilles, I just say adios. You know what I'm saying?
and
Hey man, I told y'all next time.
All right.
But, my cap. I'm just if y'all find out who gonna be the next running back for the Cowboys, say something on the radio. Let me know.
Okay,
Will
sounds
do.
good.
Hey,
512-836-2887. You can get your calls and comments in as well. Just real quick. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I make a point?
Yeah.
I didn't get to say it, but Corey actually brought up a good point 2 weeks ago when he was here that the Cowboys doctor did Jonathan Brooks's
Yeah.
knee surgery.
yep, he did say that.
So I think
So you're saying there's a chance in the draft to address
Absolutely.
this, and maybe that's what they decided to do. Travis is wait.
I think that's perfectly plausible. Here's part of what gives me concern that that's not going to be the way they go. Because right now, if you look at the team, they're letting Tyron Smith walk away. Now Tyron is not signed anywhere yet, and so does that leave the possibility open that Tyron may call him back and go, do we want to work on a lower price for me so I can hang around Dallas and retire as a Cowboy? And they're also letting Tyler Biadasz, their center, walk away. I don't want to say my fear, because I think it would be a good investment, but I think they're going to have to go offensive line with that first pick. Jonathan Brooks is not going to make it to the end of round 2. I don't believe.
Yeah,
I think he'll
just
go a
looked that
little
up.
earlier than that.
Good job, sir. I see, according to NFLDraftBuzz.com, mid-second round. And so I was going to lob that to you, and I was going to say to you, Travis, when I look at the picks, 24th overall, sounds like you go lineman, like you said. Second round, 56th overall, you got to go there, and that's early for you
That's
with what your needs are.
Yeah. I don't know at 56 that Brooks will still be there. If he is, then that's a no-brainer to me. And I don't think that Dallas really has anything to deal with. In other words, if I'm thinking they need to be somewhere in the 42 to 46 range and able to have a shot at JB, they're going to have to package another pick later into a deal on a swap, and I don't know that they have anything that's going to be attractive enough to get them up those 10 spots or so that they need to be in the mix. But hey, stranger things have happened. We never thought CD Lamb would fall to us.
Can I throw a couple names at you guys then, just because you brought it up about the draft? So if we don't think this site, again, NFLDraftBuzz.com,
Right.
just so you guys know, they have him as the number 1 ranked back. That's huge. I didn't know that. I wouldn't have thought that, with the injury. I am shocked. But okay. Jalen Wright. He's a UT guy, University of Tennessee. If y'all weren't that familiar. 5'10", 210 pounds. He's faster than Jonathan Brooks. Does that draw either of your attention there? You want me to move on? He's the number 2 ranked.
I don't know enough
Either
about
one.
him.
Okay.
I really did not see much Tennessee last year.
And I didn't either. Okay, what about the Michigan guy, Blake Corum?
Okay, now Blake Corum is interesting to me, but
I know. I wanted you to know there's some buts.
does he have NFL burst
No.
to him?
So
that's
what I want to tell you. Of these 3, of the top 3, he's slower than Jonathan Brooks. Jonathan Brooks is a 4.45. This guy is 4.53. So I'm glad you went there. I also just want to offer you one other thing. He's also the smallest of those guys. He's 5'8".
He's dependable. I think even at 5'8", though, I think he'll be durable. I just don't think there's enough flash to him to make you excited enough to go get him in the top 2 rounds of the draft.
They just think they have him listed as short area burst, twitchy. So maybe we can get some lateral stuff, even though Barry Sanders didn't have the fastest 40 time, but it was that lateral movement, that twitchiness. I'm not saying this guy's going to be Barry. Okay, then I just want to offer you guys 2 other guys then. Florida State. Remember, they had a great run. Trey Benson is their guy. He's 6 foot, and he runs a 4.39 at 216 pounds and 6 foot.
That's fast.
That's those are the same numbers as Jonathan. He's same weight and same height as Jonathan. Would you take a poor man's Jonathan Brooks? I want to start with you. Poor man's Jonathan Brooks, Travis.
Yeah, he's certainly intriguing.
Okay.
I think what you would have to do is he'd have to be one of those guys you bring in for a workout. You get to select X number of players that you bring into your camp for a workout and see how that body measures up to some of the drills that you run them through. It's really difficult. Running backs are difficult. I mean, you can judge their catching ability out of the backfield and things like that, but when you bring them in, when you go to their pro day and when you bring them in, you don't line 4 defensive linemen up and against 4 offensive linemen and run, running back drill. You don't do that. That's not gonna. You end up separating somebody's shoulder doing something like that, and all of a sudden there's lawsuits flying, and that's so it's really hard to accept the tape. You just got to go with the tape. He's intriguing. Played for a big program. Played for a winning program, and that seems to be. The change that I've seen in the Cowboys under Will McClay and their drafting is they have generally skewed towards bigger programs with winning traditions and winning on the field for those types of players.
I want to just give you guys, I want to see if I could tease you with something in, because when I go back to your picks, Travis, I see in the 3rd round you got the 87th overall, and you fall to the 5th round, 173rd overall. I know you got that memorized, but I'm saying that for the listeners. Thanks for obliging me. Isaac Guerrindo. He's a Louisville Cardinal. Let's listen to these measurables. 6 foot. 221, so that's 5 pounds heavier than Brooks. I know Travis knows this, but he runs a 4.33 at 6 foot 221.
Yeah,
Travis, he's the number 11 ranked guy. Maybe you call big and fast. Would that just so the fans could hear you and your opinion on it? Would you be kind of excited about those? Those are good numbers.
Yeah, if we're talking about him in the 4th or 5th round as a project, what I think the Cowboys are going to do is they had and I'm going to have to look them up because the 2 backs they had behind Pollard last year. One of them is coming back. That's what I think is going to happen. One of them is going to come back. I don't think that necessarily means that guy's going to be a starter. But it looks to me like it's going to be more running back by committee for the Cowboys next year as opposed to a single back. Unless somebody just steps up during spring, during fall camp. But we'll just have to cross that when you come to it. And so if you wanted to bring in someone like that who has awesome measurables and throw them in the mix and go, hey, maybe you were overlooked. Let's put you behind an NFL offensive line. Let's see what you can do.
So if I could make you feel better, in your 3rd round last year, you guys selected DeMarvin Overshawn. Maybe you're okay with that 3rd round pick. In the 4th round, you took Viliami Vahoko Jr. And then that running back you took in the 6th round, you took Deuce Vaughn in the 6th round. So looking at maybe what you could get that late, and then you took in the 7th round Jalen Brooks. So maybe in the back end you could get a little lucky with your picks.
You can. I mean, that's
It's hindsight, but are you pretty happy with the picks? You know, defensive tackle Mozzie Smith as the first round. You're happy with that pick?
Well, yeah. I mean, certainly, he played 300 snaps last year, but he certainly didn't have the impact. I mean, I think the big question now is, are you going to try to re-sign Jonathan Hankins one more time? And let now. Once again, also, we've been talking, and I just went on the record as saying that if Biotish and Tyron Smith are both gone, you might be forced to use that first pick on the offensive line. I mean, Corey's been waving the flag for the Dallas to use it on the defensive line with the UT defensive tackle.
Swift.
Yeah. Sweat. T'Vondre Sweat.
Yeah.
Both Sweat and Byron Murphy II are top defensive line prospects. Mm-hmm. Murphy's a little smaller because he's only 295.
Lightweight.
Only.
but Sweat is weighing in at 360 or something like that. I do think that's an option. They could go that direction. I'm afraid offensive line is going to be a higher need for them come. Still free agency still open. Maybe there's somebody out there they're going to fill the line with. And maybe the offensive line marketplace doesn't suit Biotish and Tyron Smith, and they both give the Cowboys a call and somehow come back. There's a lot of things that can happen still. So we'll keep our eye on that. But before that, we're going to get to a break. Come back right here on the Fans View KAZI 88.7.
Support comes from the city's housing department, looking for input from the community to
We are back on the Fans View, KAZI 88.7. Travis Kent alongside Jamal January and Douglas Washington. We're talking some NFL free agency before the break, and did want to, as we were talking Cowboys, there's a number of players out there. Of course, Tony Pollard's gone to Tennessee.
Yeah.
You've got Jordan Lewis did re-sign with Dallas. C.J. Goodwin, another cornerback, re-signs with Dallas.
Okay.
Neville Gallimore's gone to Miami. Dante Fowler, Washington. We it's not a surprise, right? When your defensive coordinator heads to go take over another program, you lose Dorrance Armstrong, you lose Dante Fowler. Both those defensive ends have gone to Washington. I do see here, and I did not see this signing. I guess I missed it. Tyler Biotish did sign with Washington.
Yeah.
So Biotish at the center position is gone.
I think that front office wants to put some money behind the muscle, but behind the coach. And now if the coach can start poaching people, are you worried about that? You worried about Dallas East?
No, I mean,
sorry, Commander fans. You deserve a little more respect than that. But I mean, you guys got Quinn, so it's gonna come.
yeah, they've got a lot of work. They've still got more to do. In fact, they just packaged away Sam Howell.
Yeah.
For picks, essentially. I mean, which Denver is fishing for quarterbacks, man.
Yes.
I give Sean Payton a lot of respect. He made the decision. Russell Wilson is not his guy moving forward, so you just got to cut ties.
Yeah.
Man, it's a lot of cap room to eat. But now they've got to figure out, who are we going to play at the quarterback position?
What pick do they have? Do y'all know?
I don't know.
No, I don't know.
I'd have to look. Yeah.
What's your expectation? You want them to go get a new rookie?
I mean,
Nothing is out there. They missed him, Kirk Cousins.
yeah, I would say the time to do it is now. Just looking at who's coming out next year, I would say you got, because obviously Caleb's probably going to be gone. Drake May's probably going to be gone. Jaden Daniels is probably going to be gone. So you still have Sam Howell, Bo Nix. Like, you still got a lot of who I think a lot of big name rookies, big name dudes coming out the draft. So I say go get one.
Oof. They don't have a lot of picks right now,
Ooh,
but
uh-oh.
first round they have the 12th pick in the first round.
12?
Yeah. Are you saying spend that money then?
I say go ahead and get one.
Whoa. Okay, Travis, put on your GM hat. You just whiffed on that big contract with him.
Mm-hmm.
Peyton's in the building. Is this our makeup? Because Peyton didn't sign the contract. So is this your fix? Do we go with Jamal, the GM, and with that 12th pick, go get someone? I know a lot of people like Drake May, and or do you? We might be forcing it on Peyton to draft.
Yeah, you know, the good thing about the NFL cap and the NFL and its salary structure is that if you do go take a first round quarterback, you know what you're spending for the first 5 years.
Yes.
Okay, and so you have 5 years, and that's why when people talk about Justin Fields, and when people talking about, you know, the old Kirk Cousins contract with Washington, and they end up franchising him, and then he moves, and you know for those first 5 years. You have 5 years to decide if that's the route you're going to go, or if you're going to go a different way, and you do it at a very cap-friendly number for what is the highest paid position on most other teams, especially all the good teams. Patrick Mahomes is the highest paid player on Kansas City. Dak Prescott's the highest paid player for Dallas. You know, it's just the way it is. And by the way, you know, Cowboy fans, we're sitting with a $40 million quarterback right now, and we're already talking, do you re-up Dak Prescott for another one? And do you do it sooner than later? Because right now, that new contract might be $45 million a year. But in 2 years, it might be $52 or $55 million a year, because that cap is going to keep going up, and the quarterback position is going to continue to take a lot of that space.
Am I wrong for telling you guys I don't trust Sean Payton and who he drafts? I'm looking at the 90 draft picks in the Sean Payton era back in New Orleans. So talk me off the ledge, Jamal. Because he had because he had Drew Brees. Just tell me, because he had our homeboy, that's why he didn't have to look into it. He didn't care about the heir apparent. Tell me that is why because he doesn't have a track record. We don't know if he can draft. If he's the offensive guy, if he is the quarterback whisperer that we think he is, how come he never drafted anybody? Oh, you can't talk me off.
I don't think I can.
Travis,
on that one. Like,
could you tell me that you have confidence that he's going to draft the right guy with that 12th pick, though?
No, I mean I don't know that I can tell you he does. I haven't gone back to look at the history of those Saints drafts to really see what they did. Obviously, when they made the decision to sign Drew Brees from San Diego, they checked out his shoulder, thought the shoulder was going to be fine, and fully committed to Drew being their guy, and it paid off in spades. And they didn't really have to go seek out. Now, you can say that. I guess it's up for debate. Would you say Taysom Hill was a good draft usage? He was a quarterback coming out of BYU. You got some quarterback play out of him, but you also got a lot more usage at other positions. So I don't know if you call that a miss or a bust or a hit. I don't really know.
Yeah.
So certainly they weren't prepared for the end of the Drew Brees era.
No.
Okay.
No.
But I don't know. So much of it is the rest of the scouting staff as well. I mean, Peyton's going to have a major voice in who they select, but I don't know that I have enough history to know that he's going to make a good decision or not.
Yeah. I mean, he found Marcus Colston. That was like round 7. Jimmy Graham. That was the 3rd round. I'll give him that. He's drafted a bunch of receivers. I'm just gonna say, I don't feel that confident because he hasn't had to show it. And we do know it to be a hard thing to do anyway. So
it's iffy is who you give the credit to, right? And how much credit you even want to put on this. But he was in Dallas when Parcells selected Romo.
Yes.
Picked up Romo.
Yes.
And had a couple of years to do with his growth while he was waiting in the wings before Sean Payton went over to New Orleans.
I'm not refuting you. What round was he though? Because I know he was.
I think he was undrafted free agent.
Oh well, see now that I don't know, Travis. He was there. He's monumental for the growth.
Yeah.
But wow, the selection. I didn't know that. I didn't know he was undrafted.
Out of Eastern Illinois.
Yeah. So, I wonder how that works. I wonder, like, who said we like this guy, or I would love to. You know what? We need a 30 for 30 because those were good years. And if he could have got that shoestring tackle, he wouldn't have got that shoestring tackle going around that corner. You guys know no, I was living in Connecticut at the time, so we were definitely not Cowboy or Seahawks fans. But yeah, I'm just kind of curious then what that story was to say, hey, let's invite this guy in or let's take this guy, and then for him to stick and stay undrafted. Eastern Illinois, that like there's bigger names that were out there that you would have gone for, but I liked Romo.
Yeah, he was, for value he gave you from where you got him. He's as big a bang for the buck guy as there was in the NFL at the time, right? And so,
wow, I never knew this, Travis. If you would have asked me, I would have thought Cowboy Nation loved Romo, but I guess since he never took you to the mountaintop, he's not his legacy is not set.
No, he was liked early on when he first became the quarterback,
right?
And he did have a lot of fourth quarter comebacks. For a number of years, he had the highest quarterback rating in the fourth quarter in the league. Those last 4 seasons is when he began to turn the ball over a little more, try to do a little too much with the ball.
Yeah.
And so that's really when the part of the fan base that then began clamoring for who's next started really rising up and getting a little more voice.
Okay. All right. That was new to me. I thought he seemed like this is you heard this a lot. He just seemed like he's out there having fun. And then he's just the cool guy. He was the hat, unapologetically the hat to the back guy, and then of course playing in all the pro-am. I'm sure other quarterbacks did it, but he was a good golfer. So seeing him in those pro-ams, again, I liked him, and he had a good basketball game too. I thought I saw him in some maybe did a celebrity basketball thing or something. But so yeah, I liked him. I thought he was good for entertainment value. Kind of a Brett Favre, a gunslinger. Like, you guys think that was a big arm? I thought it was a big arm. I don't think it was average.
No, I think it was a plus arm.
Yeah.
And he could get the ball down the field. He was a pretty accurate deep ball thrower.
Yeah.
Still one of those, much like the drop snap, but almost still getting into the end zone on the playoff game against Seattle.
Shoestring.
The throw to Dez on the catch, no catch was a great throw.
Yes.
There was another game that he took some criticism for, but I've gone back and watched it. It was one of those infamous games where the sun's coming in the end of the stadium, and he throws on a 4th down play, throws a beautiful pass to
back left corner.
No, it was Dallas was actually deep in their own end. Or maybe it was a 3rd down. Anyway, and he throws a little seam pattern. And hits, and I'm blanking. Patrick Creighton, maybe, and hits Patrick Creighton on the hands. But
Yeah.
Creighton was looking back at the sun and kind of short-armed the ball a little bit. I got into a Twitter fight with a local sports guy here saying that because he was criticizing Romo for missing the throw on a wide-open receiver. And I said, man, I think when you sit down and watch the replay again, that you might change your mind because it looks to me like he alligator arms the ball at the last second. So, but there were some big moments that were missed.
Yeah.
But, you know.
All right. I won't take anything from the Romo love that I have. I love him as an announcer too. I'm not. It looks like some people are starting to fade on him. Jamal. You're not a fan.
Not really. I mean,
Whoa!
one
I'm
of the-
learning so much right now. You guys are shaking me. Why am I the Romo fan here?
I mean, like that one play in the Super Bowl where Patrick Mahomes threw that interception. Romo literally said, and Patrick Mahomes accidentally throws it to the defender. I was like,
oh, okay.
no.
You're right. You're right. That's not a good look. That won't age well. Yeah. Okay. What about his broadcasting skills, Travis? Where are you at on that? Because he looks so smart. He sounds so smart. And
So the first couple of years he came in when he was doing the whole predictions thing, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was very entertaining.
Right.
I thought it felt a lot like kind of what we get from Peyton Manning during the Manning cast.
Yes.
If anybody watches those, where he just takes a look and says, as a quarterback, this is what I would want to do in this set. And I think Romo was doing some of that. He was also hearing calls and kind of extrapolating what people were doing. And he's backed off of that. I'll be honest that there are games that I've watched with he and Nance where I don't feel like he's very prepared.
Oh.
But I've heard him other games. He's sounded fine to me. I'm not sure how much preparation and like Troy Aikman. I know Troy Aikman's putting in the work going into a game. He talks about the players and the plays and the coaches, and everything seems to line up. Whether you like Troy Aikman or not, I've got no issues that he's put to work. I also happen to know that Troy not only does his own film work and does his own write-ups on teams, but he hires another sportscaster up in the Dallas area to put together a sheet for him every week that does a little deeper breakdown and really analyzes the offensive and defensive lines maybe a little deeper than even Troy has time to put in, because I think he knows he's going to talk more about skill players, so that's the time he puts into it. This other guy puts a lot more time into the offensive and defensive lines and trends in certain situations and things like that. And so I know that Troy's putting in the work.
Yeah.
Tony sometimes just seems like he's not putting in the work, but that's just me.
Yeah.
So,
Well, if he knew his shtick was, I'm getting by off of what I know of playing that position, and people seem to like it, then he's like, oh, I just got to bring that.
yeah.
Okay, I get it.
So,
Where are the calls? 512-836-2887. I mean, we're giving the people what they want, but I was so curious. With March Madness coming up and all of our talk, I thought more people would want. I actually thought people would want to tell us who they're going for, or who they like, and then talk about, the local team. And I'm trying to steer around that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to steer around it.
yeah, it's. Yeah, you saw my text the other night. It was a one-word text.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, what about conferences? I asked you guys about like teams, but are there conferences that draw your attention? Like you talked about the old Big East.
Old Big East, yeah.
So
one, I think for me, conference-wise, I believe the Big 12 and the SEC right now are sort of leading. And I'm not trying to slight the ACC, because at the top, Duke and Carolina, they're still really strong teams. ACC is just not quite as deep right now.
yeah.
They've lost some depth, but the SEC and the Big 12 seem to have the depth and quality of teams going into the tournament that they set themselves up better to have more teams advance at this point.
Yeah.
So we got a caller who did just call in, so we are going to jump into the phones. Hey, caller, you there? Lost you. So, caller, if you want to call back, we can get you in, and just kind of know that you're just going to go straight into a queue. You're going to hear our voices and wait for us to call on you, and then start talking. So,
But we would love you. You called on cue. I think
That's
maybe,
right.
maybe they wanted to talk. I'm gonna tell you that's why they hung up, because they wanted to talk to you about. I'm gonna guess here. They are Michigan fans. Michigan basketball, and it's a down year. That's what I'm gonna say. That's what I'm gonna say. They want.
Hey, caller, you there?
Hey,
Hey, go right ahead.
hey, is this Hunt?
Yeah. You're on. You're live on.
Oh, y'all see Aaron Donald retired?
He just
Oh.
announced his retirement.
Yeah.
Did he really?
Yep, just announced it.
I did not know that. Wow. What what did he say? This is new news for me. What did he say? Is he blaming it on the body? Is he?
I don't know. He did a whole Twitter post about it.
Oh. Wow. No, that's a big shock. Here's what we're losing. We're losing. This is going to get cultural, but we're losing the best hairline when you take your helmet off.
So, so I'm just catching up. Caller, thank you very much for bringing this to our
Yeah.
attention. I want to point a couple things out from my timeline here. 3 hours ago, from the Rams Wire, report Rams restructure Aaron Donald's contract to free up $9.2 million in cap space. 2 hours ago, sort of the same from a different website, the same essentially going to free up $9 million in cap space. And then 37 minutes ago, Aaron Donald retires.
Oh, I know what that looks like for me. Caller, what does that make you feel like now when you see that kind of a timeline? Is that anything you want to offer there?
Nah, I mean, it was just a surprise that he's not that much surprise. He was thinking about retiring.
Yeah, I had heard he had been thinking about retiring as well. And, you know, the game takes such a toll on your body.
Yeah, it does.
I'm a little surprised, and I don't know what you guys' feelings are, and caller, you can chime in as well. I'm surprised we don't see more guys but in that 8 to 10 year mark of their career, even when they have stuff left in the tank. They clearly have it left. But I think at year 8, you hit full pension. I want to say, maybe I'm wrong, but that thing is right in that area.
Yeah.
Once you hit full pension, if you can still walk around and you want to be able to coach your kids' softball team and baseball teams and stuff like that, I'm a little surprised we don't see more and more. The money's gotten so big; they've already made a ton of money by that time. I think a lot of people end up running into Earl Campbell and end up running into guys who are just beat up and go, I don't want that. So I can't blame him. Can't blame him.
Caller, if you were to play in NFL, how long do you think you would do? You're trying to go as long as possible, or you're trying to get the pension and get out?
I think it depends on what you're chasing. If you're after a championship, that 8 years may or may not be enough.
Yeah.
And you want that chip, so you're going to keep playing till you either get there or, this contract get backloaded so much, too. You might be like, I'm going to try to get this back-end money, too. So that's where a big chunk of that money is. I'll ride it out.
Yeah.
Just depends on where you are. Now, if you're a journeyman, then, maybe your goal is 8 and you're good.
Yeah.
And say you take it for what it is. But if you enjoy doing it, I mean, you hear a lot of these guys talk about how much they really love the game. Money is there, but it's the love for the game and the locker room. I think that's why you see a lot of athletes doing podcasts now, so they can try to recreate that locker room vibe of talking to their friends and their brothers.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. No, that's a good point. That's a great point. Hey, caller, thanks for calling in. We just got a quick turnaround before we have a break here. Thanks again.
No problem.
I appreciate your call. Yes, 32 years old. He'll be 33 coming up in May. Yeah, little. I think I think a lot of people are going to talk about this today. I'm not one who watches the ESPN and the Fox Sports 1 talking head shows during the day. It's just not. I can kind of form my own opinions. I don't really,
I agree. I don't want to be led.
But there are some people that I'd be interested to hear what their thoughts are on, because there's a lot of former athletes that are doing that stuff, and I'd want to hear what their thoughts on someone clearly retiring before his tank is empty, and the odd part that just a few hours ago you have reports that he's restructuring his contract.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden he's out of the game.
Yes.
And that's just a little.
Yeah.
It's just different. It's just different.
Oh, you're gonna do that's what y'all are gonna do? I'm out. That's the way I take it. So let me drop a couple things on this as we sum up. We have about 90 seconds here. He began his NFL career with the Dolphins, and he was undrafted. We were talking about Romo.
Crazy.
This guy was undrafted out of Jamal. Let's give you a hint, and if you don't get it, I'll get Travis. I looked it up, so I didn't know it. But Jamal, where do you think he came out of undrafted?
Oh,
I don't want to give you guys any hints.
let me go with Pittsburgh.
Okay, not bad.
Because he's from Pittsburgh. I think he stayed local. I think he played at Pitt, right?
You guys are close. Indiana University.
Wow.
Did he really?
Yeah. I didn't know that.
I thought he stayed home. I don't remember. I really don't remember.
I didn't even know he was a Pittsburgh guy. You guys knew that. I didn't know that. But you know what? Sorry. Nope. You guys are right.
Okay.
You guys. I'm sorry. I can't type. I was looking at Andrew McDonald. Oh man. Yeah, that's good because we got a break coming up and.
Well, speaking of that, let's go ahead and get into our break.
Okay.
Come back for the last segment. We can continue here. We can get back to NBA and college basketball if we want to. Maybe a little MLB. Maybe just a little talk spring training going on in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Right here on the Fans View, KAZI 88, and we're back on the Fans View, KAZI 88.7. Travis Kent, Jamal January, Douglas Washington. No Corey Mose today. Corey had some work to do. We'll hope to have him back next week in studio. We're talking going into the break about the retirement of Aaron Donald. Thank you, Giannis, for getting that information to us. It's just odd to see posts from earlier this morning when they're restructuring his deal to all of a sudden see a pivot. It does not sound. So I found his Twitter post. He has crafted on there a thank you to St. Louis. He was there for 2 years before the Rams moved out to Los Angeles, and 8 years there, and the Kroenke family, and so there's a lot of thank yous in there. There's nothing that sounds like there's any animosity. It's just odd. If this had come out of the blue and we didn't have any post about a restructuring of the contract, I would think, you know what, it's pre-draft, so he's letting the team know ahead of time so they can start restructuring their. It's free agency season, so you're giving them a chance to continue to adjust. But on the flip side of that, then to see you're restructuring, and now you're retiring. Little odd, and we're going to throw somebody right in the hot seat as Corey Mose was able to make it in here before we get out. Corey, we're just discussing this Aaron Donald news
Big
that's
time,
come
right?
out. So
Yeah, I was
Corey, what'd you do?
I sped over here.
No, well, yeah, that too. Well, what'd you do to make Aaron? I think it's your fault.
I texted him.
I'm sure he was at South by.
I said it's about time, bro.
While he was here at South by, you and him started talking. I mean, it's your fault.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. I mean, look, writing's on the wall. They're not in a Super Bowl push right now. You might as well just hang it up, bro. So send him a little emoji. Did a clock emoji.
Oh.
So he knows like it's time.
Yeah.
It's time to hang it up. So yeah.
So, in all seriousness, because they're one of the first responses to his post was a guy named Kyler Murray.
Whoa.
I said, "Thank God."
Yeah, I like it.
I bet a lot of quarterbacks are saying that right now.
Exactly. So
I know Joe Burrow is probably saying, "Too late. I needed you gone a couple years ago, dude."
that's right.
His division. So who benefits most in his division? How are those guys feeling?
I mean, you got the 49ers, the Seahawks, and then the Cardinals.
Yeah. Okay. Then I'm going to. Well, see, I don't even know if we can count that team out now, because I thought we're losing leadership. Aside from gameplay, just leadership. What he says matters to you. I've always heard I haven't heard anything bad, so he's a good practice guy, lead from the front type of dude. But I was going to say maybe Seattle. I don't still know what's going on with the Cardinals, so sorry,
No
Kyler.
one does. Well, I don't know what's going on in Seattle. They got a quarterback battle right now, so.
Yeah.
I wonder if at some point he's sitting around with a quarterback who got them to the promised land and got them a title, but gets a year older every year, and then looks at the Bay Area and sees what seems to be a never-ending cycle of signings that makes San Francisco more difficult and more difficult to deal with all the time, and not seeing the same. I mean, we're making fun of Jerry Jones and his all-in comments and things like that.
Yep.
The Rams went all in.
Legit.
That's the definition.
And it worked.
And they got their title.
It worked.
They did.
But they're cap strapped.
Yeah.
Exactly. Was
it worth it?
Yeah. So
I think Rams fans would say, yeah, it was worth it.
yeah, well,
I think you got to.
I agree.
Yeah, you won a Super Bowl.
And
I mean, you know how hard that is?
If you're a Cowboys fan,
just ask them how hard
the
that
whole
is.
joke is the 90s. You just want to end that. You want to end the bloodbath, and then because you just went, was that 30 years? You just went 30 years, so you're like, okay, fine, we'll be down for 5 or 6, but it won't be another 30. And at the bare bones minimum, we know our guys will go all in 7 years from now and get us out of these doldrums again. I don't know. That's the way I see it. Since we were talking about them earlier, but you got to go all in.
I'm sorry about that. Sorry about that. I missed that conversation. But I can't imagine what that was like, watching all these free agent signings. And y'all signed the long snapper. What a splash.
Now, Corey, I don't know
You
if I
can't
can
say nothing about the Texans, bro.
No, I was saying I don't know if I
we
can
won
cut off
free
his
agency.
mic fast enough before you make Travis say an expletive. We've tiptoed around a couple things like I didn't. Corey,
I thought I saw you reach for the dump button.
Corey, we have not talked Longhorns basketball. Intentionally.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of intentionally. I didn't want to set him off.
Oh, that's. I mean, after that game.
Yeah, didn't want to.
Yeah, probably a smart move.
Yeah,
Probably a
okay,
smart
good.
move.
See that, Jamal? He called me smart.
Probably a smart move. I mean, he was something. He sent the group text. I mean, that's
Yes, he
how you
did.
know.
Yes, he
That's
did.
how you know T. Kent. He ready to get out of there, man. But I mean, I was right there with him though. I mean, 10-point lead at halftime. You just can't let that happen against a Kansas State team who's not good.
And nothing you did on offense even resembled what you were having success with in the first half.
Well, when Dessou gets off the court, it seems like they don't know how to play basketball. Well, let me not say that because that's very disrespectful. But I will say when Dessou's off the court, they look completely different.
They do.
And it's just like that can't happen.
Can't.
Like, you just can't happen. Now you have
Right.
one guy affect the offense that much, and they just look lost
They
on
did.
offense. And then once that happens, defense doesn't have the same intensity, which then allows buckets to happen, and then that also nullifies fast break points and nullifies the easy buckets when you have a great defensive possession you got on the break, and that's how you can score when your offense isn't working well in the half court. But with their offense struggling, that then made their defense to struggle, and then it just snowballed, and next thing you know, you're down by 10, and you were just up by 10
That's
at half.
That's right.
So, yeah, this team is so inconsistent And you would think by now they would have figured it out, but they haven't. And I think it's just surrounded by one guy. I think it's Tyrese Hunter. I think Tyrese is the X factor. And when he's bad, this team's bad. When he's good, this team's great.
I've talked about Tyrese over the last couple of years because there are stretches of gameplay when he looks like a first-team All-American.
Oof, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he drives down into the lane into the chest of a 6'11" guy and hasn't even looked up to see that three guys are standing around wide open, and gets, and throws up a prayer that gets blocked, and all of a sudden the fast break's going the other way, and you're like, what are you like? He's a little bit of a maddening player to watch, because it's not athleticism, it's not skill, it's just, I don't know if there's if he takes too much on his shoulders and tries to do too much, if it's it just seems like he goes a little brain dead at times, and yeah, when he's going poorly, it's hard for Texas as a team to get it back on track.
Well, the maddening part is that you know what he can do. Mm-hmm. You've seen it. You saw it against Baylor, and then you saw it this past weekend against Oklahoma. He drops 30 and 7.
Exactly, that's right.
And he's hitting shots. I'm like, bro, this is the NBA prospect that people have been waiting for.
Yeah.
And then the exact next game, 0 for 7. And it's just like, how did things change in 3 or 4 days?
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
I know it.
And, I don't know if it's just the chemistry between him and Max in the backcourt, him not finding a rhythm because Max has to have the ball. I don't know if that's a problem. But usually, like, Tyrese is locked in defensively, and that's what gets his offense going. And whenever, like, in the first half, you saw defensively, they were locked in.
They were.
He wasn't scoring on offense, but he was still making good passes. He was making good decisions. But then once the defense falls off, everything else falls off. And so, I just don't know. I just don't know what it is. I don't know if RT just needs to light a fire. There's been times in press conferences where, we've asked RT, like, who needs to be that third guy, and who do you expect to kind of step up outside of Max and Dessou? And I'm basically lobbing it up for him to say Tyrese, but he just doesn't want to do that.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if he just doesn't want to put that pressure on Tyrese to be the third guy. But in my mind, this is a guy that's freshman of the year in Big 12.
Yep.
Led Iowa State to the freaking Sweet 16. He led that team.
Yes, he did.
As a freshman.
That's right.
And it's like, where is that Tyrese Hunter? That's what Texas was thinking they were getting. And so, to me, he's supposed to be the third guy. So why not put that pressure on him to do that? But RT wants it to be a team thing when it comes to that third option. But at a certain point, like, I just think you need to put that responsibility on somebody, and it should be him. So, tough for the men's. But, I mean, did we talk about the women's, though? Like,
yeah.
We got a call, or?
We'll jump into the phones real quick before we talk about that women's team. Hey, caller, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Well, this is Mr. Defense.
All right, Mr. Defense.
It wins championships.
Yeah, it wins championships, and that's a plus. Well, looking at that University of Houston, and the University of Houston, I think, may be that sleeper because they don't have Clyde Drexler or Hakeem Olajuwon, which they work well together, meaning teamwork. And on top of it, they play defense. They literally shut TCU down and won a game. And I think they're going to be that sleeper that's going to be in that narrative, that March Madness, that's going to upset some teams. Purdue, they got a big man, but they're not really that strong. And they were eliminated, I think, in the first or the second round just last year.
I think Purdue. So he's bringing up Corey. Corey doesn't have his headphones on, so I'm going to recap real quick. So the caller thinks that this University of Houston team, because they don't have Drexler, Olajuwon, etc., like the stars that they had with Phi Slamma Jamma, that this is just more of a team concept, and he sees them as a sleeper. Although they're going to be a 1 seed, so I don't know if you can call a 1 seed a sleeper. But his other point was Purdue, and they've got the big man who's going to be the repeat player of the year in the NCAAs again this year. But they get bounced in the early rounds. They can't get out of their own way.
It was a 16 seed, if you remember. Fairleigh
Yeah.
Dickinson.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That beat them.
So
The biggest upset in NCAA history. that just happened. So.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it's going to happen again. But
Oh.
looking at Houston is well balanced. Everybody knows their role. Like I said, there's no superstar. So with everybody knowing their role and what they have to do in order to play the game, and as quiet as it's kept, when they played the University of Texas, I was trying to get in touch with you guys,
Mm-hmm.
and they literally shut the University of Texas down at the half.
yeah,
Those guys are a beast. They're ready to play ball on both sides of the court. Just not scoring, but playing defense also.
no,
I'll
that.
let you guys talk.
All right, we appreciate the call. Thank you very much for your call, caller. Yeah, no, you're correct in that Kelvin Sampson has built that team to be defense first, and then use that defense to create your offense. And a lot of times you talk about, well, we're going to turn strong defense into running and fast breaking teams to death. They do it to absolutely wear you down, player by player, individually. You have to work so hard to move the basketball so that it doesn't get stuck in one position. Because if you get stuck against Houston, you're turning the ball over no matter what. You're cooked. And so, but this is a team who is playing high pressure defense, yet they're just as comfortable winning games, scoring 55 or 60 points, and not feeling like they need to go out there and score 75 a night.
Yeah, I mean, I watched that game yesterday against TCU. They were up 16-0. I don't think I've ever seen that in a college basketball game.
TCU scored their first points with 10:47 left in the first half.
Half of the first half.
Yeah,
You haven't scored a bucket?
exactly.
Like we're talking about, and the caller talking about UH's defense can carry them, and that's not an understatement. I mean, if you look at the statistics, like this UH defense is historically the best defense ever. Like if you look at the stats, I mean, we're talking about the best defense ever in NCAA basketball, and you can win anything if you have a defense like that because you don't have to rely on your shot.
That was a 21 win team that they did that to.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to think that TCU was some 5 and 24
They're
team.
making the tournament. TCU
I mean,
will
that's-
be in the tournament.
That's right.
That's who they did it. Now, gentlemen, can I play devil's advocate? Is that a Corey? I feel so bad.
No.
Because I agree with you. But what I want to know is 31-15 at the half, but only a 1 point difference in the second half. So are we saying that's the adjustment of TCU? Or are we blaming TCU? Or we're just saying, no, Houston just came out ready to play, shut them down, punched them in the mouth, caught them off guard, and then coasted
Yeah.
towards...
I think that's what it is. I mean, Big 12 tournament, you got other games to play.
You got by 15.
This game's over.
I don't even worry about it.
And I will say this, though. The one kryptonite I feel like U of H has is, and I saw it against Texas, when LJ Cryer isn't scoring, and he's their leading scorer. I think he averages 16 a game or 15 a game. And when he's not on, can Jamal Shead carry this team offensively?
Yeah.
And Jamal isn't the typical scorer. Now, he has been very, very good on offense this year, surprisingly. People didn't, he's a defensive guy.
Right.
And so that's why they went out and got LJ Cryer, because they knew Jamal wasn't going to be able to hold up on offense. But the way he's been playing on offense has been a big surprise for UH, and it's been a great help as well, because he's kind of become their closer at times. But if LJ Cryer isn't on during a game, can Jamal carry this team offensively in the tournament? And he's done it in the Big 12 regular season. So, he's shown he can. But I mean, the stakes are bigger when March comes around. And so, hometown kid too. So you want to shout out Manor High School, the East Side, and so you always want to support Jamal Shed if you're an Austinite. But that's just my biggest question with this team. Offensively, let's say they can't hold a team to 50, 60 points, and they kind of got to do a little barn burner. You know, I think they had a game against OU when they got up to 70 points, and they won that game off a game winner by Jamal Shed. And so, can they do that in a tournament against a better team than Oklahoma? We'll see. That's the only way I see them losing, though. If defense isn't working well and they need a bucket and LJ Cryer's off.
You know, in that first game against Texas that went to overtime, Texas was able to push the pace. I talked about the fact that U of H, that might have been their highest turnover game of the year on the offensive side. They don't turn the ball over very often. And Texas was able to get them to turn the ball over. And that game, of course, it gets into the 80s with a final score. But the overtime period looked like a University of Houston game.
Yeah.
They went on lockdown. Exactly.
Offensive boards, getting putbacks. But remember, in that game, Shed didn't shoot well at the end of the game. But the reason why they won because of the boards.
Yes.
You know, they were attacking offensive boards. And so, like, that's how they're going to win, you know, with tenacity, with toughness. And so you're right. That was a clear example of Shed being off one night. LJ Cryer was off that night. But they just bullied them. They just bullied themselves to a win.
29-3, gentlemen. What I think is who they are is their offense, as in the personality, that grit, that fight. Because I think when you get the pretty boy teams that come in that you know can run and put up points, how do they? Because they know these boys are 29-3, so now their chest gets a little tight, and oh man, these dudes, they've been on us the whole time, and I'm getting rotated out, but these dudes have been playing the whole game and they're still right there. So I just wonder if Houston doesn't start to intimidate, because at this point, I mean, you're basically a 30-win team, and I think people will remember that. So
I did not even realize this. I had never heard this stat until yesterday when I was watching this game. But TCU is the number one fast break team in the country.
Really?
Nearly 17 points a game off of fast breaks per game.
Wow.
Yeah, you just shut that down. Huh?
Yeah, what had happened was
Shut that down.
I got a stat for everything.
So
Yeah, it's crazy. And you know, I think you talk about a finesse team maybe coming in and seeing a UH. Team that came to mind was Kentucky.
Yeah.
Like a Kentucky team that can put up 100 points.
Yeah.
But if they run into a team like UH, who they've never seen play defense like this,
Yes.
and we all know Kentucky can't play defense.
At all.
What happens to that? You know,
they're both going to be one seeds, so it would have to be
yeah.
a Final Four,
I don't
final
think
game.
Kentucky would be a 1 seed.
No. I'm talking about I'm talking about the matchup that I would love to see is the Tennessee-Houston matchup.
Oh.
An elite, high-scoring offense against an elite scorer against the defense of U of H. Rick Barnes, it's oddly enough, Rick Barnes, generally known as a defense-first coach, has kind of said, okay, we're really good at scoring this year, so let's go score. And so they're scoring at probably a record clip for a Rick Barnes team. But I don't think we're likely to see the matchup. You've pointed out that Tennessee likely will hit a spot during the tournament where they're going to go cold from the field, and their inability to play defense is probably going to cost them. We don't know that. They could be a Final Four team, and if Houston and Tennessee run into each other, then that'd be I think that'd be a great matchup.
That'd be awesome.
So, that's fine. Let's take one more. Hey, caller, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Go right ahead.
Hey guys, great show again as always. I'm looking at Houston, and the thing about Houston, man, is that them guys have most of the time they have balanced scoring. And just like yesterday, Ted, he only had maybe 12 points, but he had 5 guys in double digits. And what really surprised me about TCU in that game is that they had more offensive rebounds, but didn't have any points on them. And that shit says that Houston's defense is tenacious. That's what wins games. I look at Houston, and they don't have a defense, but they're well coached, and they do defense first.
Yeah.
And in this time of year, if you play defense, you can beat anybody.
I agree.
And I like them. I know they'll be a number 1 seed. But it's March Madness, so anything can happen. But I think that they'll go at least to the Final Four, if not win it all, because we know Jamal Shead. He's a floor general. I mean, he sees the whole floor. He seeks the best first. He doesn't really look to score all the time, but if he needs to score, he will. And Cryer, I think he's peaking right now. And then they got some that's coming off the bench that can help them, like Dunn and some other guys. They can help them, but I see Houston taking it, man. I just can't go against them because I've seen too much of what they do for us defensively. And again, I think they take the persona of the coach, and them guys are gritty, man.
Yeah,
they're gritty, and you don't want to meet them in a alley. You talking about a full brawl, man, in a dark alley at night. You don't know they're gonna come out outside.
That's right.
But thanks for this, guys. Y'all have a great weekend.
All right, we appreciate it. Thanks for your call. Yep. Yeah, I think everybody's on board with U of H and their style of play and their grit and the teamwork they show. Kelvin Sampson's done a fantastic job. There's no two ways about it. And as someone that grew up and loved the Phi Slamma Jamma era, and as someone who still likes to be able to, if my team is not playing, still likes to be able to root for a Texas team. I'd love to see this be a long-term thing for U of H, and they keep this going with recruit. And Kelvin Sampson certainly got the credentials, and has shown the ability to get them to the top. So we'll see if he can keep that going. Before we get out of here, I think I do want to mention we got the matchup last weekend in San Antonio that we had talked about. Stony Point did win their semifinal game. Plano East won their semifinal game as well, and so we had a rematch in the state title. Big props to Stony Point and their program and getting to the state finals. Coming up a little short as Plano East wins that game, just a little too much for Stony, but fantastic season. Just a lot of, they put up a bunch of big wins, and they tested themselves early in the season, and it paid off for them through district play. But what a great year for Stony.
Yeah, I don't see them slowing down either. I know they're losing Josiah Mosley to Villanova, and Junior Goodlet, he's going to Dallas Baptist University, but they have some freshmen, sophomores. I mean, I've been there to practices. They got dogs.
Yeah.
They got dudes waiting in the wings, and Coach Thompson's going to be able to have them back to that point. And so I'm excited because we're looking at a powerhouse Austin-based basketball team now.
Yes.
And it's something that I feel like a lot of people feel disrespected about. People talk about Austin being under-recruited in football. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're very under-recruited in basketball. Yeah. And so I think it's good to have a program that's this consistently good, and it's only going to bring a lot more recruits out here to watch Central Texas basketball.
Yep. All right, so we are late getting out again as Giannis is looking at me through the window and going, man, why do you do this to me every week? We're going to get out of here. We'll be back here next week on the Fans View.